I think we have everybody here. Hey, everyone. Thanks for taking the time. Cailey, are you there?
I'm here. You got me?
Yep. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
So I'm Jaime, by the way. Good to meet
Jaime.
you. And I'm joined by Angelica.
Angelica, nice to meet you.
From the Workforce Center. And we also have a handful of high school kids who wanted to join us and ask a couple of questions. So if it's okay, would you mind introducing yourself and sharing some initial thoughts about why we need the trades or construction?
Absolutely. So my name is Cailey Garrett. I work for Reiman Corporation in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I am a project manager on our commercial side of our company. We specialize in multiple different parts of construction. We have a heavy highways division, a concrete division, and a commercial construction division. So I'm on the commercial construction side. And, you know, my job is all about can-do people, really. We have a lot of different skilled trades within our company. We have concrete finishers, we have carpenters, we have superintendent foremen, CDL drivers, welders, mechanics. We have quite a few different tradesmen that we work with daily, and they are our lifeblood. They, make this company run, and we put a lot of work in place every year based on what our team can produce, and it's invaluable to us and the Wyoming economy, especially in Laramie County. It's a huge industry in Laramie County.
Thanks so much, Cailey. Now I'm going to open it up for questions because you guys had a whole bunch of really, really good questions yesterday. So if anyone wants to pitch in and get started, just go ahead and unmute, okay? Maybe nobody wants to go this time around.
I do have one. I was wondering how you guys really get your commercials out basically and get people interested.
When we're hiring or when we're recruiting or looking for jobs or seeking
Both.
work or so I think as an industry we haven't done a great job in the past either promoting ourselves as who we are as an industry or being a very involved community member. No, I wouldn't say community member. That's the wrong term. But just partner with our schools, I guess, and the upcoming generations. We haven't been very vocal. So as far as a workforce, how we get the word out there on what we're doing and what we're looking for. I mean, things like this, we're trying to participate in Q&As and job fairs and things like that all the time, and different team members to get a different feel for who we are and the type of positions we have. And that effort, I think, has kicked off a lot more in the last 10 years. We have so many trades that just, it was a family thing. They knew they wanted to be a welder. They knew they wanted to be a superintendent because that's what their dad did or whatever. The trades have been very influenced by family relations. And, even I've experienced it where some of those family members are branching out. They're saying, go into more traditional roles, like be a doctor or lawyer. I want this for you. And so we're just, we've been working hard lately to kind of bring people back into this industry because it's hard work. I won't lie to anyone. It is hard work, but it's very rewarding work. And the skills you learn here, they're transferable anywhere. It's not a niche thing where you can't take it and start your own company or go work in a different industry. So we're just trying to bring people back around really through some of the school interactions recently. If that answers the question, and if it doesn't, please ask me a follow-up.
No, it does. Thank you.
Go ahead. Awesome. Cailey, I just wanted to ask, initially, did you set out to do this kind of work, or did you initially intend to do something else career-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. So from my perspective, my family is involved in the industry. That was my initial contact, and I had interned here for years, but my family pushed me away. So my family said, maybe go look at architecture, go look at engineering. And a lot of my counselors I did well in school, and they said, go to college, look at some of the more professional links to this industry. So I started to go down that road, and, eventually a family member brought me back and said, if you're interested, if you really are interested in construction, there's a professional leg of construction, and there are project managers, there are engineers, there's much wider breadth to the industry than a lot of people recognize. So I ended up coming back. I started to drift off towards architecture, engineering, some of those more quote unquote professional career paths. And I ended up going to construction management and truly loving it. I really love what I do.
Is there anything besides your family that helped you get into construction, like that you took in school or anything like that?
Yeah. So I went to Cheyenne Central High, and we at the time had really what I would call boilerplate CTE classes. We had drafting, and it was hand drafting, and then we went into CAD, and in that series we eventually moved into things like 3D animation. So it started me thinking about design, architecture, again, like down that professional path. But it didn't have a name for our career. It didn't have a pathway, and it started to drift. It started to go into something else. So I feel lucky that I got redirected back to construction. And then after I was in, at a university in my department, it clicked. These are my people, if that makes sense. Like, I really felt like I fit in, and I enjoyed the people I worked with. I enjoyed the prospects of what we were going to do. So back when I went to school, and I graduated in 2003, the pathways were not near as defined. But yes, there was something starting back then. And I think what the school districts are doing now is even more, well thought out into some of the different pathways and industries that are available to these students.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
So I have a question. Across the board, when someone says construction, often younger people think labor, hard labor. But in reference to Reiman Corp, there's a lot of different positions, a lot of different aspects. What are some of those aspects that you can tell us that are not just labor or operator, equipment operator? There are so many more aspects to what construction entails.
Absolutely. So there are the traditional trades. And if you want to, there's a very solid path through a traditional trade, starting as a laborer, learning skills. I never want to discount that, because that's huge. But like you said, there are whole other sides to construction people don't even understand. So we have an office here where we have, a traditional support staff that actually their understanding of construction on the accounting side is invaluable. So, when you think about financial management and accounts payable, accounts receivable, we have a whole niche group here who understands the types of contracts we do in, unit costs, in lump sum, how we pay vendors, how we receive payment, and working with public and private owners. So there's a whole specialty in our office of support staff that become very, very specialized and experts in what we do on that side. And then on the management side, every project we do has at least one project manager associated with it. That would be the position I'm in. What that entails is managing our owners. So if I have a private owner, I'm the face-to-face of our job. I meet with an owner and an architect and an engineer weekly. We discuss problems, come up with solutions, talk about money, talk about changes, talk about ways we can do their project better. I'm the interface between the professional, quote unquote, industry, an owner, and our tradesmen. And to be in that position is, it's very cool to work hand in hand with the trades, understand the parts and pieces and the nuts and bolts, and then interface with industry. So we have a pretty robust group of project managers. And then Reiman also has our own on-staff engineers. And this is a little niche that not everyone knows about with engineering. We have to engineer our own scaffolding, false work. So our form work, not everything comes out in a plan pre-designed. They will tell us the final product of what needs to go in place and how those loads work. But if we have to create false work, if we have to put up scaffolding, if we have to meet certain, OSHA standards, we have our own engineers in-house that understand what's available back at our shop and in our yard, and what tools between literal, materials, equipment, tools, and then our human resources, what can we do? What are we capable of doing safely? So that's a really cool niche thing in our office that I don't even know if most people know exist. So we have 2 engineers right now, and some of those people stay in engineering, some become estimators. I guess that would be another professional pathway. Again, understanding the nuts and bolts, being really great with numbers, and it's a tough position to fill, but you have to get all sides of it. You have to get the nuts and bolts. You have to understand productivity rates, our software, all that stuff. So those are just a couple positions that we have that are a little bit more office oriented or management oriented.
I had a question, do you need college experience to get in jobs that aren't like laborers or like equipment operator?
So no, we do not require a college degree. And most of our first time interns or project engineers are still figuring out their pathway, especially in Wyoming. We have a lot of students coming out of high school that are going into college, maybe are in civil engineering, or have not chosen to pursue college and are looking for something. And no college degree required. We take those students in, we teach them about our industry, the different facets, and I've been pleasantly surprised how many have found a place in the industry, whether it's with us or one of our partners. And I think a lot of our competitors do similar things where a degree is not required to start day one. Excuse me.
Wonderful, guys. Any questions on that? While you guys are coming up with something, I did want to ask in terms of the overall culture of construction, right? Because, we have maybe an antiquated idea of what the culture of construction is. Do you think that that's changed now, or is there like a different approach now in terms of like the culture of the workplace in construction?
Construction's at a very interesting crossroads where we still have a lot of the older generation that, maybe are used to doing things their way, a little bit old school. But I would say in the past 10 years, there's been a huge shift in our industry and the culture and the types of people that I'm seeing on my project teams and I'm working with day to day. Again, I think the industry as a whole has done a lot of work on representing ourselves in a little bit more professional manner. We are blue collar people, and we're hard workers. All of our people work hard, whether you're sitting in the office or you're in the field. We work hard, we do. But I think we've been representing ourselves a little bit more to the professional community and some of the educational institutions around us to kind of exhibit what we have. So we're in a transition, and I don't think that construction is ever going to be, especially in Wyoming, a suit and tie business. And there are big cities where construction is a suit and tie business. But that's one of my favorite things about it, because we're very down to earth. We're very, what you see is what you get, hardworking people. And so there's a balance there of changing our culture without losing some of those really strong qualities that make construction a great industry to work in.
Awesome. Thanks. What do you guys think?
I was wondering if you did any could you do more summer projects than like things in the winter, or are you active like all around?
So each contractor will be different, whether you're working for a general contractor, someone who specializes in concrete, an electrician. We always say, that that's actually a benefit of construction. We have a lot of people who are pursuing school in the winter and come to us in the summer and either work in the office during our busy season or work in the field and then go back to school in the winter. So that seasonality of specifically concrete and highway work actually works really well for some students who are pursuing school. And then we don't completely shut down in the winter. There's certain industry members who do, like asphalt plants, come say between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they'll shut down. So those people go on layoff. And again, if you want that kind of seasonality, that's great. We stay open, and we do a lot of our estimating and our system updates. We pull information, try to find historical costs, things to make us more competitive for the next year, all winter long. And then we always try to pick up a couple jobs in the winter that are more, commercial, enclosed buildings, and a lot of our crews shift to that type of work. So Wyoming can be interesting with our seasons. I mean, everyone knows that, but we find ways to work around it, whether it's workforce who wants to work both seasons or, maximizing people's times during the summer. Excuse me.
Just making sure if anyone has any questions. So typically, like somebody who's just starting out in, say, as an entry-level laborer, what could a potential ladder for upward mobility look like in your company, for example?
So a very traditional example, if you come on as a laborer, a very traditional example is coming on and getting the basic skills of being a laborer, a crew member, kind of mastered. And then if someone's with us, excuse me, for more than a couple months, we like to put them through the OSHA 10 class and start to get a feel for who wants to stay in the industry. If someone stays with us through the busy season and indicates that they want to move up, we have a couple options. To stay on a crew, you can pick a path for an on-site apprenticeship program for on-the-job training. That includes, say, a carpenter, cement finisher, a mechanic, a welder. And we put people in those classes. We keep 4 a year at a bare minimum, and we're always begging for more. So if you kind of establish yourself through a couple months that you want to be here, then we start paying for your training to get you skills to stay on. What that looks like when you fast forward that and put it in a big picture, foremen are a very sought after position, which is like a medium level manager on a job site. They always have a superintendent to report to, and they're not responsible for any financial responsibilities, budgets, things like that. They're just helping manage the day to day. Then you move into a superintendent position where you're literally running a job. You're working with a project manager to talk about budget and what we can afford for labor, what kind of safety concerns we have, and being a little bit more accountable for what's happening out on the job site. Between superintendent or foreman to superintendent, there's a pretty big jump there in contributing to the team. But I mean, that's like a really traditional, just working your way up through one job. In our office, then, we have a general superintendent who's been in the field for 20 years, who knows what we do, how we do it, where we're working. And he's in the office most of the time, and he travels out to our job sites and helps other superintendents. He uses his experience to troubleshoot with guys who are either new or in a difficult job. We have people that run our shop that they need to understand, again, what parts and pieces go to this crane. If you send equipment to a remote job site and you don't send all the parts and pieces, we're not doing any work. So working your way up from a laborer and knowing that you want to move up, most companies just need to hear you say it and what types of things interest you. And we all have such strange niche roles in higher management that we want people to be passionate about. We want people to want to learn. And most everybody wants to pay for you guys to go through training. We don't expect anybody to show up fully trained. It's a bonus if you do, but it's really just saying it to the company, hey, I want this. And finding a mentor, I would say, within that company to keep touch with, to express your concerns. Hey, I don't know that I can work with this guy anymore, or I'm going through something personal, but that doesn't mean I want to lose my job. You need to find an anchor point at that company to keep you engaged and keep you moving up.
Awesome. Thanks so much. We got a couple more minutes. Just want to be respectful of Cailey's time. So do you guys have any other questions or any comments that you'd like to make? I got a couple more questions. Go ahead.
I do have one more question. How many voices are able to speak out for like changes in like the company?
Ooh, changes are so hard. I wish they were easy. So a change on a job site, anybody has any authority, especially safety, to raise their hand on a job site. When we put workers out on a bridge deck or in a building, that is everyone's job to speak out. As far as moving up and operational things or what kind of jobs we do, I would say most companies are very interested in people who want to have that say. And what it takes to have that say is to stick around and see why things are done. So you can appreciate, that we've been doing this way for 30 years. Okay, there are some reasons why they do it old school ways. And there's other ways where you just have to appreciate that and say, I get this. I get this is why we do this, and it feels a little old school or cumbersome or whatever. But what if we, and those are critical thinkers that, it's a great question. And it's great that you're thinking that way already. You're very valuable assets to any company. But it does take a little bit of time to create a mutual trust between you and any company. I remember I came in out of college and I thought I knew it all. Okay. I just went through this degree and they already told me that this is the way you're supposed to do it. And I was met by a brick wall, and it's kind of off-putting, right? I want to change this. I want to do better. But I did learn slowly, and maybe the hard way, that there's certain things they do for a reason, and it's for our benefit and for the longevity of the company. And if you do have good ideas, if you just have better ways to do things, again, it's persistence with the company, with a mentor, and having the right, I guess, mental, framework when you bring it to the next person in line. We have guys that have been here for 40 years, and it's hard for them to have the new guy on the crew say, this is dumb. They're probably not going to take it very well day one. But I just say, after going through it, there's a need for it in construction, and I'd encourage you to keep that optimism and persistence in change.
That's a good question. Anyone else?
Last call. Yeah. Do you have to travel?
In our specific company, we have traveling crews and we have local crews. And we're pretty upfront with that when we hire on. The highway guys, we travel because Wyoming, only has so many bridges. We bid bridges all over the state, and it's expected that crew will stay in a place for like 2 months and then move on to a new place. And then in Cheyenne, we have both an around Cheyenne crew and we have an around Cheyenne commercial crew. I think most communities you'll see that depending on what the contractor does, what they specialize in. I think our industry is pretty good about getting people home on the weekends, understanding that there's certain people just want to be with their families. It's not an oil and gas thing where you pack up and you're gone for a month and you don't know when you're coming home or whatever. But yeah, depending on what type of specialty you want to pursue, we do travel.
All right, guys. Anyone else? Okay. So Cailey, I just have one more question. Sorry, Angelica, I don't know if you had one, but I wanted to ask you two questions in one, I guess. The first one being, what has this industry done for your quality of life? And what would you say to somebody who's just getting started out in career exploration in terms of considering the construction and trades?
Yeah. So I personally have grown through the variety of people and specializations that I've come in contact with during my career. So I'm not pigeonholed. I'm learning something new all the time. Projects are always different. There's new people, new interactions. So on a professional level, I am always challenged, and I'm always engaged. I don't feel stagnant at all in construction. That's my opinion. I'm always challenged. Personally, I'm a mom of three, and a lot of women. I don't know that we have a lot of women on the call, but that's something you consider when you start out a career is, can I have a family? Or even we've got office mates that are men that are very involved with their young children. So I have been able to have a very fulfilling career and personal life in construction. It depends on what your priorities are. I would also say that, again, sticking it out and getting a little bit of skill, the sky's the limit on, I don't know about the sky, we're not billionaires here, but I mean, really the income is good. We do bonuses every year for everyone who's been on the project throughout the year. We have bonuses on some projects, whether we made money or not, just based on how people performed labor-wise. So I think that the industry does try to give back to everyone and recognize all the hard work, because again, it is hard work. When the company makes money, bonuses go out. We try to take care of people. So it's provided me a comfortable life. I also get to spend time with my family and have great coworkers. It's just a great three-prong, stool for me. Career, family, having a life still.
That's wonderful. Cailey, thank you so much for your time. And thanks, guys, for showing up and asking some awesome questions. But I really appreciate it. And we will be sure to send this along as a resource in case there's some kids who may have some questions. And, you can definitely share this video with them. But yeah, we really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Jaime.
Yeah, no problem. Good to see you again, Cailey. Angelica, thank you. And thanks, guys. And
Thank you, Cailey.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Have a great day, guys.